Well, folks, we're doing this far too often recently, aren't we? It was just a few weeks ago we were mourning the passing of the 30-year-old Tiana Mungakahi, a former Syracuse women's basketball star, and now we find out on Tuesday that Syracuse's all-time leading men's basketball scorer, Lawrence Moten, has passed away far too soon at the age of 53. Lawrence Moten, what a player. Poetry in Moten. What a nickname. The Big East's all-time leading scorer. I don't care that he's been passed. That's whatever. That's not the Big East. Lawrence Moten was, is, and forever will be the real Big East's all-time leading scorer. Played at Syracuse from 91 through 95. And he, for a lot of reasons, is a college basketball player, the likes of which we may never see again. We certainly see a lot less now than we did back in his day. A four-year player with the talent of Moten doesn't happen. They leave early for the pros. A program's all-time leading scorer doesn't happen. They leave early for the pros. A guy with the game of Moten, no. Basketball's involved. It's threes and layups and free throws and nothing else. Yes, Lawrence could do that. He was an adequate three-point shooter. He could get to the rim. Oh, but man, he could put the ball in the bucket from anywhere on the court. Anywhere on the court. Not just out there or in there. He'd go wherever he felt like, and the ball went in the hoop. More times than anyone in the history of Syracuse basketball or the Big East. I feel bad about this. I feel bad about a lot of things on a day like this, but I feel bad about this. Lawrence played in the day where, yes, television was very important in college basketball. ESPN and its relationship with the Big East was 10, 15 years old by the time Moten was playing. But this was the era where still not every single Syracuse basketball game was on TV, especially if you didn't live in Syracuse. I was in the Albany area at the time. So I didn't get to see every game of his career like I would, say, a Jerry, a Tyus Battle, players like that had long, prolific Syracuse careers. When you saw him, he was great. He was understated, but he was great. He played on really good teams, but just shy of great. His freshman year was right after Billy Owens had left. His senior year was the year before the John Wallace-led run to the national championship game. It fit right in there. He won a lot of games. The probation was in the middle. There was a lot going on in that time of history of Syracuse basketball. I really feel bad about this because when you think of Lawrence Moten on the court, and I feel terrible. He's the Big East all-time leading scorer. He's Syracuse's all-time leading scorer. The first play I think of is the final play of his career. His worst moment on the Syracuse basketball court, taking on defending national champion Arkansas in the second round of the NCAA tournament, 1995. Luke Jackson stealing the ball, Lawrence coming in, calling the timeout Syracuse didn't have, technical free throws leading to overtime, and eventually Syracuse's exit from that NCAA tournament. A rare, rare flaw in a four-year career full of so few of them. But on a day like this, and I did the same with Tiana a few weeks ago, you remember the basketball, you remember the great plays, you remember the unique player. Got to be a unique player to get a nickname like Poetry and Moten. Got to be a unique player for whenever Syracuse was on TV, on CBS, on ESPN in those days, the camera always found, 100% of the time found, the Poetry and Moten sign in the crowd in the dome. It was there every single time for 4 years of his career. It was always on TV, and Lawrence was always putting 20 in the box score. That's what he did. He did it every game for 4 years. Then you fast forward, and this is the difference between then and now in college sports, college basketball specifically. Lawrence, in the first year expansion, Raptors, Grizzlies entered the NBA 95 draft. He was the second round pick of the Vancouver Grizzlies. They picked Bryant Big Country Reeves in the first round. Lawrence went out to the West Coast to a new team nobody knew anything about. And I honestly don't know if I ever saw Lawrence play basketball again at a professional level. He was a role player for a few years on a team that wasn't any good. The next time I legitimately actually saw Lawrence play was probably the first year of the TBT when he was a player coach and subbed himself in at the end of a blowout and hit a couple of Poetry and Moten shots that made you remember the good old days. But for the last 10, 15, 20 years, you, me, all of us, we saw Lawrence plenty. He was a fixture in Syracuse. If you went to a game at the Dome, Lawrence was there. Not acting like a superstar. He was just there. If you went to the store, Wegmans, whatever, Lawrence, there. The amount of times you just run into Lawrence Moten and be like, was that? That was Lawrence Moten. Just, shopping. Why? Because he's a dude. He's got to get his groceries. You go through Manley Fieldhouse to do the variety of things I had to do back in the day. Walking down the hall. Oh, hey, Lawrence. What's up? Nice guy, gentle man. Always around, a presence in Syracuse. He just recently moved back to his hometown in Washington, D.C. for a job down there a couple of years ago. Just sadness to lose a man like this who was such a great player and a great individual as well. Tough times for the Syracuse basketball community. Wishing the best for Lawrence's family and his daughters. But this is a tough one because players like Lawrence, they just do not exist anymore. The 4-year college basketball star that, at least in the sporting world, that is what he was. Yeah, he played basketball after, but Lawrence Moten is, was, and always will be Syracuse basketball, and we will miss him.